And we are in action. Hello, Meg. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. I know we just had a few minutes to chit chat before we hit the record button. So I'm going to go ahead and just have us get started, have us bring lots of value to the women watching this today. This is going to be filled with lots of information. Meg is an amazing spiritual mentor, past business coach of mine, and I'm so honored to be able to have her on my live today. So I'm going to really go ahead and hand the floor over to Meg, have her introduce herself, and then I'll take it back and guide us through today's lesson and mindset motivation.
Cool. Yeah. Well, hi, everybody. And like Natalie said, I am a spiritual development mentor. I work with people who are really ready to kind of claim their truth and step more fully into their essence, into who they know they're truly meant to be. I'm also a Kundalini yoga teacher, meditation teacher, and sound healer. So yeah, I just love supporting people and elevating.
Yeah, and I mean, not to mention, you guys make host amazing retreats all around the world.
Yes.
Which is very cool. So if you guys are wanting to get more information afterwards, make sure you stay tuned, and we'll have everywhere where you can find Meg. So yeah, she hosts retreats. She's like, I feel like a very smart businesswoman, a woman who is like, I feel like self-made, very successful. And so she brings lots of value, and I just am excited to like hop in today and really help guiding women or men who are watching this, but this is really designed specifically for women who are doing and completing a 28-day challenge right now. And Meg, thank you so much for that lovely introduction of yourself. And I want to go ahead and transition and start talking about your health and fitness lifestyle, and how you don't work out actually at a commercial gym, and that's never been your thing. And I've actually had the honor, when I was working with Meg, I actually was working with her, and I got to help guide her on her health and fitness journey. And the one thing she said is, like, I don't do gyms, and you are still very successful and you still look phenomenal. And I was just wondering, Meg, if you could share, how is it that you don't work out at a commercial gym, but you are still able to maintain like this healthy body and lifestyle?
Yeah, well, and I want to let people know, one of the reasons that I don't work out at gyms is because I don't do well with lots of people in large crowds. I do well in front of lots of people in large crowds, but not in it. My energy, I'm just so open to everybody, and so I get really uncomfortable. So I choose to stay home or like work out through like a yoga class.
Yeah,
but
which
I think
is very
one of the
personal.
things. Yeah. Instead of like all of this like energy all over the place, which is just, it's a challenge for me.
Right.
So one of the things that really helps support me in my health and wellness is how I eat, how I think, having a spiritual practice, like a meditation practice to center, and yeah, how I think, and then other different tools that I use, like essential oils, making sure that I get good sleep, and just really making my health a whole picture, rather than just like only focusing on working out or only focusing on eating right. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's like a wellness lifestyle. And I think you bring up a great point, and I want to touch in a little bit of essential oils that you brought up. But before we do, Meg, prior to this call, we really discussed the power of nutrition.
Yeah.
And so like, with that being said, can you like talk about or share like why or how like the power of food can really truly be the number one thing to separate somebody from gaining weight, losing weight, and things like that? And
yeah, well, I studied functional medicine, which is all about like the core of getting to the root of how we feel physically, mentally, emotionally. And so I truly operate under the philosophy that the food mood connection is real. And I used to think of eating healthy as like calorie restriction and like eating like lean cuisines and, just like diet food. And my health took a turn for the worse. That's because I was going through like mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, all the things. And I finally, a couple of books came into my life, like by the grace of God, and that helped me to wake up to like what eating should actually look and feel like. And really, so now my whole kind of eating philosophy is simply like eat real food. And that really shifted, and it helped to fix my gut, which I know you went through as well, as like fixing all this gut issues. But I was able to elevate my mental and emotional state by switching to a diet of real food and like nourishing myself. And so when your mood is elevated, when your emotional state is elevated, everything becomes easier, you know? And so that's how I look at food, is how can this nourish me? How can this elevate my mental, emotional, and physical? Rather than like, what do I have to like restrict and take away from myself and like be upset about because I can't eat. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. And to like recap, you guys, the main takeaway from this little section is real food, whole quality foods. And we live in a society where so many things are processed, and there's even foods that are being marketed as health foods, but they're processed. And the big part of how I really healed my body is just literally just eating single ingredient foods. Grown from the ground, more of
it makes things so much easier. It's way less choices when it's like and an apple, or like an apple processed thing, you know, like just pick the apple.
Absolutely. And not saying that every single thing that you eat has to be a single ingredient food, but at the end of the day, when you break down your diet and go down to like single ingredient foods, or very like less processed foods, you're going to be also eliminating all these like processed carbohydrates and trans fats,
sugar,
sugar that's just like put into so many things. So the big, like, I feel like first thing is the key food. And then Meg, I know we still want to get to the essential oils, but I feel like this topic kind of leads very good into what you just said, is looking at all the foods that you can have. And I feel like it ties into the power of our words and our word choices. And so Kim, like elaborate a little bit more on how that can really affect somebody on their health and fitness journey by just words.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love the phrase that your words paint your world. And so, you know, me and you can both be doing the same challenge. We can both be working with the same food plan. You can be focusing on everything that you're getting, everything that you're receiving, all of the colors that you're adding. And you will be more successful than if I were to be doing the same thing as you, but focusing on everything that I can't have, and focusing on like how it sucks that I can't do this, and like I hate this, or like
how like a scale makes you feel, or
and like focusing on all the things that you don't want, like I feel tired, I feel stressed, I feel, you know, or I wish I didn't feel like this. Whereas you, Natalie, may be having a completely different journey, because you're saying, wow, I feel healthy. I feel energized. I feel like, you know, balanced and grounded. And so our words truly paint our world. You know, people can be going through the same experience, but based off of the words that they choose, that's going to color and paint that experience. So, and even like, you know, when you're speaking to people, and you're speaking out loud, but also this internal dialogue. And I mean, of course, like, I'm human. Like, of course I get into this, you know, state of where I can have negative self-talk, and that's okay. The important thing is that you forgive yourself when you catch it happening, and you say, look, I'm choosing to see this in a different way, and I'm choosing different words. And so it's just kind of rewriting your story as you catch yourself going down a particular path that's focusing on what you don't want. So speak in the affirmative rather than the negative. So for example, rather than I don't want to feel stressed, which is speaking in the negative, you switch that to I'm excited to feel balanced, you know, so you're speaking to what it is that you want.
And
Yeah.
bring such a great point up, and make our words have associated feelings with them. So by us literally saying, I don't want to feel stressed, like just saying
Then
that,
you feel stressed because you just focused on it.
yeah, feel weird. And like our words can, yes, mentally make us stronger or weaker, but at the same time, they physically can literally make us stronger or weaker. And
Totally.
and I just want to bring up the power of having like I am statements and having very powerful words is something that I like to work with my clients, and I use almost every day. And so like in times where I'm starting to feel weak or defeated, or, starting to feel like, I'm veering off, I start and I go back to my I am statement. So like very powerful words to just motivate me and get me back on track. And mine is, I am a strong, authentic, loving leader. And all those are so powerful word choices to use. And they just, like, when I say them, they make me feel really good. And
yeah, you're like, yes, I am.
Yes, you are. That's even something that I'll ask my clients, like, who are you? And they'll tell me their contract or their statement, their I am statement. I'm like, yes, you are those things. And so, going back to the power of our words. And then also, Meg, you bring up one other point. It's like two people can be going through the exact same challenge or program or journey and have completely different experiences. And I just want to say that the circumstances remain the same. So how you choose to react to a circumstance or a situation, it doesn't actually change the situation at hand. So you can choose to be stressed out, get, worked up, or go into a dark place, or, get, I want to say, angry at whatever circumstance is going on, or you can choose to maintain cool, calm, and collective and have a positive mindset. Either way, the situation is still going to remain the same. And the only difference is you're going to make it a lot worse on yourself if you go down this rabbit hole of like this negative self-talk and like negative thinking.
And I think it's important, when you're going through something like a challenge, to the thing that rewires our patterns and that rewires the way that we, our mindset, is by recognizing when we have shifted into like a negative state. And instead of saying like, oh, nope, can't, like, gotta put that aside. Like, I just have to like shift right away and like put on a fake smile and pretend everything's okay. It's to say like, wait a second, I recognize that I am experiencing a lower level emotion around this. What has triggered me to feel in this way? What thoughts are going through my mind, and where are those thoughts coming from? And then like processing through that, through journaling, through self-reflection, through talking with a mentor, and then saying, okay, I want to rewrite this story. I want to shift this emotion. So I think it's very important that we are able to recognize when we're in a negative self-talk. I think it's even more important to not just like try and suppress that and put it down and just say like, nope, I'm being positive, but to get curious about it, because that, when you get curious about it and you really start examining like, why did this emotion surface? Like, I want to get curious. That is the healing work.
I love that. And that, when you and I were working intimately together, you actually had me do that. And you bring up that's such a great point, is like actually asking yourself, okay, what is this? And asking yourself why this is happening. And then what you said, there's layers, asking yourself why again and again. And
that's how you transform.
Going to the root cause. And I feel like that really helps with like having anxiety spurts, because just reflecting back when I first started implementing this exercise that you had me do, I started actually doing this, and I realized that, oh, it's just because my, me coming from a space of fear and this insecurity around this is really not that, when you go.
Not true. Yeah.
It's
just the way I've conditioned myself to like respond to situations, is to like have anxiety or to have overwhelm. And when you stop and you pause and you say like, why am I experiencing this? Sometimes it's like, for no reason at all. It's just, this is my like default pattern.
Yes.
And like, I choose now to shift it. Right. But if you just put on the Band-Aid and and pretend like, oh, nope, can't go there. Let me put on the Band-Aid and like think positively. You're doing yourself a disservice. You've got it. And that's why these challenges are so great, because they can bring that up for people. People maybe resist, or they get halfway through and then they want to stop. And it's like, they're just continuing the same patterns over and over again. So when you feel that resistance, like stop, pause, forgive yourself and say, what's really going on here? And that's where like the major changes are going to come.
I love that. And you bring up two great points I wrote down is choosing to then therefore like shift. And when I did this live with Ruben the other day, like he got to a point where on his journey, because he used to suffer, like he had a horrible relationship with food. He did like binge eat and things like that. And like he decided to like shift and choose to really once and for all be different. And I think the power of also, Meg, which we didn't really talk about, like visualizing. So when you choose different, like in visualizing yourself showing up as the higher version of yourself and really like keeping that in the forefront as well, I feel like could also, that in addition to all those other exercises we just talked about, really help as well.
Totally.
Just like choosing and knowing that this journey is not perfect, and that you do start to learn, like, you'll experience maybe something enough to realize, okay, let's actually rewrite this story and do something.
Yeah, like this is a pattern.
Yeah. And sometimes people, like, they get so, even myself, like I would get so worked up because I was going through the same experience and I was just thinking, what's wrong with me? This is never going to change, and like just feeling very defeated, but it does change and you can make that shift.
Yeah, you just have to make the conscious decision that I'm ready to shift this pattern, instead of like, nope, let me just give up again and then find myself in this same cycle like 2 months later. Like, just make the decision. But yeah, I mean, as a mom, I know that I've gotten into the practice of really allowing my children to like come to that decision rather than trying to force it, which I've had to, teach myself a lot. But like, as a mom, I'm like really able to see the process happening. So yeah, like if somebody's not ready, they're not ready. So you got to make the decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like, Meg is the mom of 2 beautiful children, girls, and she has a 3rd one on the way. She's 5 months. Expecting a baby boy, and we'll touch more on that in a moment. And then the only other thing, Meg, that you said earlier is forgiving yourself too. And realizing, ladies, like the past is the past. What you have done is like, you can't change the past. Just continuing to look forward. And sometimes though, Meg, something else that really helps me is like when I do have experience anxiety and things come up, I really start to get really, really present and focused on the current moment. And I think that ties back into when this feeling comes up, going into that feeling and figuring out, okay, what is this triggering? And it's either something from the past,
like childhood,
or it could be like fear of something happening in the future that's not ever happened, or that you know what I mean. So getting really, really present in that regard. And I just want to give some examples to this context, because what we just talked about can apply to so many different areas of your life. And I know we're really focusing on like health and fitness. So like this could even be to, I know some women, they get triggered by the scale and, they don't want to like be by the scale, and you can choose to look at the scale as something negative or something positive and as a staple. And if you don't want to deal with the scale, you don't have to, but maybe this can then relate to you having these feelings of urges of going into the pantry or going out and like binging on food, or maybe just like not following through like with your exercises, or just like you said, starting something and then never finishing it fully and figuring out what is that, setback.
What is that? Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add?
I mean, I think, bringing up as women, kind of touching again on the point of like forgiveness, because as women, we can carry around a lot of guilt and shame when it comes to food, and when it comes to body image. And, one of the most powerful ways to shift out of guilt and shame is, when it comes to food, is forgiveness and self-compassion. So when you feel the energy of guilt and shame coming up, welling up, give yourself permission to be like okay with your choice. Give yourself permission to accept your choice, you know, and to love your choice rather than feeling guilty. But also, yeah, like forgiveness is just such a powerful part of rewriting your story. And it's something that we don't take the time to do. Even in our day to day, you know, if you go and you grab something that, you know, you didn't, okay, I forgive myself. And in this moment, I'm moving on. Because when we harbor these feelings of guilt and shame can manifest in our choices. It can manifest in our physical health. It can, you know, manifest in our mental health, obviously. So forgiveness is really important, you know, forgive and move on. Now, of course, we don't want to like give ourselves an excuse nonstop of like, well, I'm just gonna, you know, eat this cheeseburger and then I forgive myself, so it's all fine, you know, like, you gotta set boundaries around. But yeah,
absolutely. It's just like being gentle with yourself too. So thank you for like really highlighting that, because that is important. I think that in our society, that is something that we're not very good at doing. So thank you. And I know we're coming to an end already. It's been so short. And I wanted you to talk about the power of essential oils and what they've been doing for you.
Yeah. Well, so, you know, I'm pregnant, as Natalie talked about, and essential oils have always been kind of in the background for me. I've, you know, dabbled with them. But after becoming pregnant, a lot of like, remedies that I used to go to are no longer available for me. So the past 5 months, I've really started exploring essential oils, and, you know, they're plants. They're a plant medicine, just as fruit and vegetables are plants, and they can be medicine to our body. And so, you know, part of my health and wellness journey is feeling supported. And so for me, being able to use different essential oils like throughout my day, has really helped me to feel supportive. So things like lemon essential oil can help with your lymphatic system and helping to, like, you know, drain out whatever. So I rub it on the bottom of my feet and on my ankles. You could rub it on your neck if you're experiencing, you know, if you feel sickness coming on. Grapefruit essential oil can help with sugar cravings and boost your metabolism. Peppermint oil can really help to like cut a craving, to also like bring in clarity and to feel like energized and boosted. So sometimes we turn to food when we don't actually need food. We just need some sort of other support that can give us what we need. So I have fallen in love with essential oils. Yeah. And just what they've, you know, what they've done for me. So like using lavender to like soothe and calm myself rather than like a croissant. Right. Yeah. So point being is essential oils are a tool that resonate and work for me and my family. So when you can find and incorporate different tools in your life that can replace this need to like grab a food or some, you know, consume something, well, even though you might be consuming essential oils, but to just support yourself by finding tools that work for you. So for me, it's essential oils, it's Kundalini yoga, it's like being outside, being by a tree, you know, petting my dog. So it's just important, you know, to support yourself by finding tools that fit into your life.
I love that. And thank you so much for talking about the power of essential oils. I know they are so powerful. To be very honest with my audience, I don't currently like incorporate essential oils, but like, I know that they have tremendous health benefits, and I wouldn't mind actually like investing in some and you know, getting, you know, some essential oils and stuff like that. So thank you for sharing that. I you know, and sharing like what the different ones are used for, and the lemon for the lymphatic system. I'm all about, you know, lymphatic system is really important. So maybe so thank you for sharing that. I think that's very powerful. And for you to like mention like, so for me, for example, Meg, you said something very, that kind of reminded me of something. Whenever I sit down and I need to work on something that's challenging or hard or something I've been avoiding, I'll actually all of a sudden get hungry.
Yeah. Right?
And I
need like the food. Yeah.
And I never realized I was doing that until Ruben, my boyfriend, he pointed that out to me. He's like, every time we sit down or you sit down, you need to do something, you want to go get food. And like,
yeah, you want to distract yourself.
Yeah. And so like, and that thankfully now, I don't have, like, we don't keep food in our home that's not going to be supported, but even still, like, always like reverting to food when I'm trying to like sit down. And for some people, it might not be when you have to do work. For some people, it might be, when you need to go to the gym, or when you need to.
You're having a difficult conversation with a loved one, or like when you got to sit down and pay bills, you know?
Yeah. And all of that ties into overall well-being. And so, thanks for bringing that up. I think that's a very valid point. And, or some people where instead of going and turning to food, you know, it could be turning to essential oils and doing something like really holistic for you. So I love that.
And on that note, maybe we can share a link. There's a really, really wonderful Kundalini yoga practice for healing, a Kundalini meditation for healing addictive patterns. And so I like to use this particular meditation when I feel like I'm getting, because some people can be addicted to not just substances, but drama, to self-sabotage, to like procrastination, and those are addictive patterns. And so that's an example of another tool that I use that resonates with me.
I love that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So do you have the link to that?
Yeah, I can share one with you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We can share them. Then I know you mentioned also to end with, and some of you guys kept on hearing Meg mention Kundalini yoga. And I've actually never done Kundalini yoga. I keep on saying it wrong, but I am aware of it honestly because of you, Meg, and you brought that to light. And now that I do practice raw vinyasa, like level 1 yoga for the past year or something, you were a huge influence on me actually finally going and getting my yoga membership. Has literally changed my life. Oh my God. The power of yoga, and it really taught me about the power of breath, and that's something else that you and I really tried to work on together, is being present and focused. And I found that incorporating yoga practice taught me about the power of breath, and the power of breath, really concentrating on your breath, brings you into focus and being power of presence. And so with all that being said, yes, yoga is amazing, but can you just quickly, as we close out, share what Kundalini yoga is to you? And I know you mentioned you were going to leave behind some type of something for the audience that we talked about, maybe like a link to a free meditation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Kundalini yoga, just very briefly, is it's a technology. It's the yoga of awareness. It's the yoga of dropping us into the human experience. And Kundalini looks and feels very different than Vinyasa, Ashtanga, Hatha. It uses the science of mantra, of breath, of very specific, putting your body at very specific angles and pairing all of that together in order to produce very specific outcomes. So there's Kundalini sets there's like over 8,000 Kundalini sets, which we call Kriyas, but there's like Kundalini for adrenal function, Kundalini for intuition. There's even like Kundalini for healthy bowel systems, and Kundalini for like tapping into your inner guidance system. There's Kundalini for like becoming like angels. And it's all it's like recipes, just like baking. Like you follow very, very, very specific steps in order to produce a very specific outcome. So like I said, there's, a Kundalini Kriya for healing addictive patterns. And it's very, very powerful. It was transformative in my life. It still is. And
now you're a Kundalini instructor, right?
Yeah.
That's something else that you do.
Yeah, I know. I'm just jack of all trades. So yeah. Yes, I have a meditation, a soul activation meditation that I'd love to give all of you guys. It's helping you. So it's a guided meditation. I know some people can be a little freaked out by meditation because they think it means just like sitting there with their eyes closed trying to be quiet. And that's not it at all. That's one form of meditation, but there's many, many forms of meditation. And this particular one is a guided meditation where I am taking you on a journey to tap into your soul guidance. And in this meditation, you will be given a word from your inner guidance system, from your intuition to really help activate your path forward. So it's a really beautiful meditation. I get so many people like telling me, oh my God, I just did that meditation and I'm crying and it was so powerful. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, I can't wait to do it myself.
Yay, good.
Yeah, cool. Well, this is so wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and your knowledge. Can you just let the audiences, so this isn't just going to be used for women who are doing the challenge. I'm actually going to share this just with my audience in general. I feel like these interviews are so powerful and can bring so much value to people wherever they're at on their health and fitness journey. So can you also share with individuals where they can find you? And yes.
Of course. Yeah. So my website is megsylvester.com. I'm also on Instagram, Megan Sylvester. So that's Megan with an H.
Can you spell that, your Instagram out?
Yeah, it's MEGHAN. And then Sylvester is SYLVESTER. Just like Sylvester Stallone and Sylvester the cat. And yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So that's where you guys can find Meg, and following her is amazing. I'm so happy that I got to be connected with her, and hopefully you all enjoyed this. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or Meg. We covered a lot of very valuable information, very condensed into a short amount of time. So this is definitely something that you can re-listen to a few times and every time take away something slightly different. So thank you so much for your time, Meg.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.